Hello, good afternoon everybody. My name is Kevin. I'm the forest technician working on the HWA program for the Department of Nova Scotia, and this is my colleague Albert. Today we prepared a short presentation for you guys on the update of HWA program, and in hoping that, you know, if you guys do decide to treat your own hemlock on your own woodlot and whatnot, you may be able to take some information off of our presentation. And yeah, please feel free to raise your hand and ask any questions during the presentation, because I always find that, you know, you save the questions till the end, you might already forget what you want to ask. So, all right, here you go, Albert. All right, so to start us off, I'm going to give you guys just a brief program overview. I will then go into some of the treatment progress we made in 2024. That includes some of the challenges we faced, as well as some major pivots that we made in our operation, and the successes that we derived from those changes. And then I'll finish it off with a 2025 outlook, to which then I'm going to pass it off to Kevin to give you guys an update on HWA biocontrol, as well as Spruce Budworm. So just a little program overview. We are a federally funded program based out of Milton, Nova Scotia. We mainly treat hemlock protected stands. We use a variety of chemicals such as Zytec and Starkle for our spraying program, and Imajet for our injection program. We are a crew of 6, however that is there's constantly people coming in and out, so probably one of our major challenges is making sure that we can get as much production as we can get done with the people that we have available. So to go into some of the logistical challenges of our program, there's 3 major ones that we can pretty much boil it down to. That would include weather, access, and water. When we say water, we pretty much just mean the water that we have accessible to us in order to complete our spraying objectives. So to start with weather, I mean, the spraying program and injection program can be very, very finicky with weather. We need to make sure there's not too much precipitation either before or after we are going to spray, otherwise the trees don't get as effective of a treatment. And then we also have to take into factor the health of our crew as well. So we don't really want our crew outside on a 32-degree day in full coveralls, you know, sweating down to their bones. We try to look after people, but we want to make sure that we can get what we can get done when we can get it done. Another factor is that we can't spray in high wind, so pretty much 25 kilometers an hour and above, and then you're risking having too much spray drift. So it can vary greatly depending on the stand, because sometimes you might have a stand that's quite open, you might have some smaller hemlocks, a mixed stand, could get lots of wind. You could have another stand that's big, great hemlocks, but it's in a bit of a divot, so on a nice windy day, you get into the stand and the wind has actually died down quite a bit. So, you know, it's kind of a day-to-day basis that we often have to deal with. Next, I'm going to get into access. So another major hurdle that we often have to accomplish is getting access into a lot of our sites. Some of our sites are, you know, super easy, located off main roads. Those are the ones we love. But, you know, can't always help it that a lot of the time our access to certain locations, you know, it might be a 2 kilometer hike into the woods. And, you know, that doesn't mean we just can't do it. It just means that we got to find a way to do it. So for my 2 examples I have up, if you look on the left, we have Mersey Lower 1. As you can see, there's quite a few main forestry roads on the north side, the east, the south. So it makes it quite easy to get into all the different potential areas of that block. And it is one of our bigger locations, so that's quite handy. On the right, this is one of our sites located in Lavelle. And as you can see, there is a couple roads. There's one road on the east side, but there is a lot of cottages and stuff on that side of the road. So what we actually have to do to access this site is we use our canoe when possible. And then we're going to look at a couple examples, some difficulties and challenges that we have to overcome when it comes to our entry point to the sites, as well as staging. When I say by staging, I mean, where we set up our berm, our pesticides, our chemicals, our back tanks, where we get it all ready, where we prep, and then where we eventually head into our site. So Mersey Lower 1 on the left-hand side, because it has all these access roads, generally there's a lot of widened areas that we can use to set up for our staging. We're not kind of out of the way of any forestry trucks or other operations in the area, where as opposed to the site on the right, Big Bond Mature, as you can see there is nothing nearby. So what we have to do is we have to stage a lot further away from the actual location itself, which just means that we have to hike in. It's a little bit more strenuous. You're wearing a lot more gear. Your back tank, you're hiking for a kilometer or so. So it's just a couple of the challenges that we have to deal with when we look at entering the site. And finally, we have some other challenges based on water access. Again, we're going to look at Mersey Lower 1 on the left. This site is only about 15, not even minutes from our office, so we're able to fill up all of our water jugs, bring them to the site, and then if we do run out, we can always send someone back to the office, fill up, and come back. It's quite an easy, streamlined process. And then, as on the opposite side, you look at Cameron's Lake. There is 2 locations at that site where we have to canoe to access it. So in regards to this, we would have to bring empty water jugs with us. We would then fill up using lake water, which does work, but it presents its own challenges, because if you don't filter it out properly, then you can get a buildup of sediment in your tanks, and sometimes they jam up and don't spray properly. So these are things that we consider, and if you spray your own woodlots, you'll also have to consider when treating. So we're going to get into some of the major pivots that we made in our operation this year. The first major one that we really got into was the treatment timing. So last year we kind of did a mix of spraying and treating all season, just depending on the site. We went to one site, pretty much didn't leave till it was done. That included spraying it and injecting it around the same time. But we found towards the end of the year this year that when we tried to inject later into September, October, the trees didn't really want to take up the chemical as much. So Kevin and I got together and we did some thinking, and this coming season we are going to change it so that the first few months of the season we do purely spraying, because the weather's nice, it's not too hot, the trees are uptaking the chemical well. So we're going to focus on spraying in the first few months, and then when we get into end of June, July, August, in the hottest months of the season, we're going to start focusing on injection. The trees tend to be thirsty, they take up the chemical, but then it's also a lot less strenuous because we don't have the 50-pound back tank, and our crews are able to get a lot more done through the day before being wiped, as opposed to spraying through the day. Then after September, October, we're going to get back into the spraying again, because like we said, the injection trees generally did not take the chemical up later in the years. So yeah, then we'll continue to spray later in the season. So this year just gives you an example of the timelines that we're going to be using for treating. For our equipment, you can see on the photo on the left, those are some of the tags that you will see on our trees. They vary in color and the letters. So the red tag says I-24. It's one of our injection tags. It just means we're treating it with injection in the year 2024. The other chemicals will either say an X for Zytec or an M for mixed. And then on the right-hand side, another thing that we changed this year was we went from the smaller blue nozzles that you see on the left to the longer blue ones on the right. And we purely did this because the longer blue nozzles actually gave us a little bit bigger water droplets, which means less drift, so we can be a little bit less picky when there's a little bit of wind when we can spray. Another major system we changed this year is the way we inject it. We were using the ArborJet injection system, which is attached to essentially an air compressor, and it's a big needle you jam into the hole that you drill in the tree, inject the chemical, and then you have to hold it there and wait for like 60 seconds, and then you'd have to do it again. And we just found that the process was more time consuming than it should have been, and it wasn't as reliable. So this year we switched over to the EcoJet canister system, which is the 3 photos that you see on the left. This system works, we found a lot better because you can kind of go along in 2 big swoops. You can send one crew ahead, pre-drilling all your holes, then you can send the second crew in behind, injecting the canisters in, and then you just let it sit. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 20 minutes for the trees to soak up the chemical. But this way we found we're not waiting at every single tree. We can do one large swath of them, inject them, and then we can go back. By the time we get back to the beginning again, a lot of the canisters have hopefully taken the chemical up, and we can take them out and go on to the next one. So the photos on the right are just some of the examples of what our injection process would look like. The one on the top right pretty much explains the step-by-step process of how we would go through the canister injection process. And then finally, just to get into an outlook for 2025, our plan is to do some re-entry of our sites that we hit in 2024. We do have new sites on our list, but ideally we want to get these old ones done, make sure that the stand has gotten all the possible treatment that it could have. That way we can move on and focus our efforts elsewhere. That seemed to work out really well, so we did, like I said, we did add a few new sites on our list this year. Their environment is coming to us gradually with new sites that we can tackle, so this is a big goal of ours to try to get more done. And ideally, we have increased efficiency this season with the new procedures that we updated and looking at the results from last year. So I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Kevin, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the Eastern Spruce Budworm and the HWA biocontrol.
Thanks, Albert. And also, just keep in mind that if you do want to treat your own woodlot, you've got to make sure to get your pesticide applicator license. It's a requirement if you do want to treat it with any chemicals. Yes, go ahead, sir.
How far along are you guys in your Eastern HWA treatment when it comes to the lots that you guys are treating?
Sorry, you got to repeat that. I can't hear you.
How far along are you on your treatment process? So, if it's 100, if you treat it 5, 10, 20, how far are you along in your process?
We're going at it because, we get assigned sites to us, so we don't look at the total yet.
Okay, thank you.
They are also constantly adding new sites as well, so even if we have our list, we're tackling them slowly, but then halfway through the year they might come to us with 3 or 4 more spots that they've added on. And this program is set to end in by December of 2026, so I think there's just a big rush on to try to get as much done as we can by that date.
Just when you're spraying, what part of the tree are you spraying?
From the base of the tree to DPH and maybe a little higher, because people are not robots.
So it's the bark, not the needles.
Pardon me?
So it's the bark that's spreading, not
Yeah.
the needles.
No, not the needles. The needles, it won't do much on the needles. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead with the Spruce Budworm stuff. So for any of those that don't know Spruce Budworm, they're a defoliator, and around every 30 years or so, there's a major outbreak in the Maritimes. They target balsam firs and white spruce. So last year, the Spruce Budworm population in Cape Breton has been detected. higher than usual. And the province has adapted the early intervention strategy, the same as in New Brunswick, but we haven't implemented it because all the spruce budworm higher level population is in Cape Breton National Park. And we will continue to monitor. Some pictures of the defoliation and what they look like. Keep in mind that you probably will see it here because they are a naturally occurring forest pest. Not in an outbreak volume, just, you know, just a regular day-to-day kind of thing. That's an L2 larvae, and the areas over there, highlighted in red, are where the spruce budworms are detected. But keep in mind they are in the Cape Breton Highlands Park. Yeah, that's just a further explanation, like the map on the spruce budworm outbreak map, I guess. And I'm moving on to, any questions about spruce budworm? Yes?
Are you not allowed to spray it?
No, you're not, because it's federal jurisdiction. There is an inoculated program for spruce budworm that I know of. Yeah. All right, so HOA biocontrol is the next update. It's been, for the past 2 years, more than 11,000 beetles has been released in the South Shore, and we're hoping to have these beetles complete a self-sustaining population by feeding on the HWA that's currently here. So because currently we are transporting beetles from BC to here to release them, which is not very efficient. Ideally, if they have grown enough of a population, they can just self-sustain itself, and we can collect them here and then send it off to, say HWA move over to Central and eventually the East. We can start transporting beetle from the South Shore to the Central or the East. And further on that, there isn't any update on the rearing facility for the silverfly yet. Any questions?